Me and my friend Tommy had like skipped school with our fake IDs and took the train to New York. And we went to the Stonewall, and I think we ordered sodas even. I don't even think we got beers. And we were sitting there, and this man was like, talking to Tom, and he was like, "So are you positive?" And our dumbasses were like, "Yeah, we're totally sure." Like, because we thought he was asking, "Are you positive we're gay?"
Oh no.
And he's like, "No, baby, are you positive?" And he's like, "Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm positive. I'm totally sure." And he lifted up his shirt and he had an HIV plus sign tattoo. And he goes, "Baby, are you positive?" And Tommy started crying. And he was like, "You got to be careful. You got to be careful. People aren't going to you can't be this doe-eyed in the city." Okay, where are you from?
I just wrapped up an incredible conversation for Our American Dreams with V Spear of Under the Desk News. V, you know them. They're an LGBTQ plus journalist, a podcast host, a personality, an advocate, but most importantly, they build community. We laughed. We got a little teary-eyed at points. We got some hot takes. And of course, we got inspiration from V about how we make the world a better place. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with V Spear of Under the Desk News. Well, I'd like to welcome our friend V Spear to Our American Dreams. Welcome, V.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's so good to see you. Always good to see you because you give me hope and inspiration. The way you make things so bite-sized for people and digestible and relatable. It means a lot to me as someone, who just wants to get the news in a way that makes sense. So thank you for everything you do.
Yes, thank you.
So let's talk about that, because we know that you started Under the Desk in 2020 on TikTok as a way to help people, especially younger people, better understand what's happening in the world in this bite-sized, shorter form. Can you talk to us a little bit about what made you jump into making that kind of content, and what was your thought process about making it more accessible for people?
Like all good things, it was completely unplanned and was an accident. So when I got into first making TikToks, it was the pandemic time. We were all on the internet way too much. And I actually started making cooking content because I was at the James Beard Foundation at that point, and I was making like hamburgers and teaching people how to apply for the PPP loans, or doing like crazy egg sandwiches. Or we did this like whole hot dog series one time, and it was like just madness. And taught people about shuttered venues and like how to deal with different things. And then January 6th came, and I was on a call with the Veterans Office of Tennessee talking about how we were going to get food to unhoused veterans. And right above my computer, I could see like stuff going on in the Capitol that didn't look good to me. And so I got under my desk to explain the 25th Amendment to Mike Pence. Was he watching TikTok that day? I don't know, but that's how I started doing it. And my friend Randy from Fab was like, that was awesome. You need to get back under that desk and tell people what is going on now. And so then I just started talking about what happened that day, and it just sort of naturally evolved.
You know what I love about that is January 6th was an inflection point for me too, in terms of news and media consumption. That's the day I honestly turned off cable news. And I still do occasionally turn on cable news, especially I love Rachel Maddow. I just can't quit.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's one day a week. It's better for my mental health. But that is the moment where I also transitioned to consuming media online. And I think it's because I could pick and choose how I consumed it, where I consumed it, from whom I consumed it. And so I think, that moment in time really unlocked for a lot of people that there's a different way to consume news media. And you obviously jumped in at the perfect time, not just for people like me, but for everyone.
Well, and at the time I got heavily criticized, right? Because any major media organization that saw sort of this rise of TikTok's news creator was like, if you ever wish to get a job in real media, you're going to be a joke. If you keep doing social media, you should try and like parlay this up into like a real job in journalism. And I was like, I am not at that point. I did not identify as a journalist. I was like a cook before. Like I was like an event planner. I wasn't a journalist. And so I was like, no, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to keep doing this for fun. And it felt like it was for fun. Being an elder millennial, I did not know that you could be a professional content creator, not have a W-2. It could never be me. And I was so scared. And so I really had like a learning curve, both on how to become a content creator, how to understand this industry, also how to get kind of a crash course in journalism, since I was being seen as like the news for so many people. And I took that all extremely seriously. So I'd say the first 3 years of Under the Desk was like just a crucible, truly trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, I think you're right about the inspiration of other people because, if you look at cable news now, if you watch any of these panel shows that are very popular, people like Abby Phillips and others, it's full of content creators.
It is now.
News every single day. And it's like, I heard somebody say the other day that you can't be a blockbuster in a Netflix era. And it feels very much like that's what news media is experiencing right now. You can't be stuck on the old way of doing it because that's how we've always done it. Content creators are reaching audiences that are much larger than cable news shows oftentimes. And the only way to really, find a new path forward, I think, is to merge those worlds, to blend them together, to work together, to deliver news to people.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think when people say, I hate the news, they don't hate the news or the reporters. They hate the system. They hate the big conglomerates, the billionaires at the top. They hate the management. They hate feeling like things are being censored or certain stories aren't being told. They hate that they've seen the same personalities on television for all of these years and they don't feel like they're making room for new voices. That's the stuff we don't like. The reporting we love, because if you didn't love the reporting, you wouldn't love me, because oftentimes I'm leaning on traditional legacy media to inform those stories. I don't have boots on the ground in Ukraine, but like I could tell you about it, in an interesting way.
Okay, so I want to talk about free speech because that's underneath everything you're talking about. This, the way that people are digesting media, the way that they maybe are turning away from corporatized media and looking for sources that they can trust, they can rely on. That comes at a time where this administration is at war with free speech. And, you see people like Jimmy Kimmel being booted from air because the president and his followers have thin skin. You see an administration that calls any dissent anti-American because it helps them propel their authoritarian agenda. What do you say to your followers or the rest of us who, are afraid that our fundamental free speech rights are at risk in this country?
When I think of making content, or I think of like what the Trump administration is trying to do and who is being sort of used by them to accomplish this, I wonder sometimes if the MAGA people are the scapegoat for the billionaires who are making these decisions. Because if you look at the last election, closest presidential election in the 21st century, okay, like 74 million people voted for Kamala Harris and 75 million voted for Trump, or whatever the exact number is. Very, very close. Why are all of these billionaire companies kowtowing and capitulating to Trump when it was such a close race? Like, why would you pull Jimmy Kimmel off the air when probably half the country likes him just because the other half doesn't? It's because it serves their billionaire agenda more. And then they can blame, because MAGA will go crazy and they're going to take to the streets, like the way they say the left will take to the streets and Antifa is dangerous. All of it just drives more class division. And it's because we don't have this in-person community with each other anymore.
Yeah. Oh, it's so right. I mean, divide and conquer is such an age-old strategy, right? Of authoritarians.
We all say like, all the Trump voters are bad except for my dad. My dad didn't vote for Trump, but I'm saying like a lot of us, our parent did vote for Trump, but they're like, all of them are bad. Well, except my dad. Yeah. He did the first time. He didn't vote this time because I told him I'd never talk to him again. So we just picked and choose his battles there. But that's the thing, right? We'll look and we'll say, they're a Trump voter. They're a MAGA. And we'll put all our hate and fear on that person, but we don't put it on our dad. And our dad is in their community, So I think we got to look at things a little different here and say like, who is benefiting from the division? Who is benefiting from the hate? Who is benefiting from the stifling of speech and the authoritarianism? And when I look up, I see folks like Mark Zuckerberg sitting at the table with Trump, or people like Jeff Bezos.
I want to talk a little bit about community. You talked about, not being willing to throw communities under the bus. You're a non-binary person with a very large audience. And I wonder if you can talk about how that experience, how that identity shapes how you create content and news.
So my gender identity is like another person in the room with me, right? There's like me, how I go about my day. I think people think when you're gay or non-binary, like you're constantly conscious of it. I'm like never conscious of it until it's like brought up. And then I'm like, oh yes, I am. Let me put on my little non-binary hat. And I often feel like I fail in like best representing the community because I don't think about it as much as like I think other folks think about it. So when it comes to being non-binary, I came to this also right before the pandemic, actually. I think it was like 2018 or 2019 that the kids, who I'm so grateful to, the young people, came up with a word non-binary and they them pronouns. And I was like, I love that because prior to that, it was like, oh, you're androgynous. And I didn't feel like androgynous necessarily. And I didn't know you could even be a lesbian until I was like 21. The only gay people I ever encountered were my mom's like drag queen gay guy friends. So I was like raised by gay guys and Black women. Like I had no idea that lesbians were a thing. So I've been on this journey of like learning words and how you fit into the community my whole life. And when the non-binary stuff came up, I was like, wow, that really feels that feels like me, like not one or the other, both and neither. And so I changed my pronouns and I really dug into it. And then I was on an Olivia cruise, the Olivia Travel Company. We love
as one does. Yeah.
As one does. When you reach a certain age, and pretty much anything over 30, you want to go on lesbian only cruises. And we were at this event and I had just done a talk and the butch lesbians who run the stage crew for the Olivia Entertainment were like, what's this non-binary business? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, what is it? How come nobody wants to be a butch dyke anymore? Do you know how hard we fought for you to have that haircut, for you to wear a suit? Do you know like why I feel like you're like kicking us out? Like all of a sudden, like butch lesbians and dykes and all this is like not cool anymore. And everybody wants to be trans masc and non-binary. And it makes us feel a little bit like discarded. And I was like, talk more about that. So we talked more about it. And they were like, it just feels like everybody is getting top surgery and everybody wants they, them pronouns and everybody's trans masc and it's like, we feel like a fear that like butch and dyke and lesbian are becoming like words that nobody wants anymore. And that's hurtful. And I was like, well, I certainly don't feel that way. And they were like, well, would you consider using the word lesbian again? And I was like, okay, great. Non-binary lesbian. So I feel like I'm trying to like hold all of the expectations of everybody else to like represent all the different ways that we move through community. And I do feel like a non-binary lesbian. And I think what I've been able to accomplish is what like Ellen and Rosie O'Donnell did for me, right? Like my mom would watch their talk shows and then she wasn't afraid of those people anymore. She knew them. She thought they were funny. They made her laugh. And for me, with the non-binary and lesbian stuff, I feel like it's another generation of creating space in the journalism world that Rachel Maddow certainly created, but for non-binary people to be seen as people beyond their gender identity and not just be like, oh, we have a non-binary speaker today. It's like, oh, yeah, that's not that unusual.
I'm going to ask you about your audience. And, you know this, that one of your superpowers has been connecting with young people. And, I'm an elder millennial as well. I feel connected to you. I know Gen Z folks feel connected to you. And as you know, every major social justice movement has been fueled by young people. Advocacy, their participation, their impatience for a better future. What do you think we need to do to engage more young people right now?
I think we need to be really openly and clearly and dedicatedly safe adults. That's the promise that I make to people, right? That I am a safe adult. And I think that Gen Z sees in me like news auntie. They know I'm safe. When we go to events and we're at the same event, auntie goes to bed at 9:30. You guys go act a fool after this. I don't want to see it. You know what I mean? But I'll be there for you in the morning to make sure the coffee's on and you're taken care of and we can help learn about things, or I can help you navigate being bullied online or how to conceptualize history and a story and different stuff. For me, some of the safe adults when I was coming up were people like the now recently departed Miss Major, who we love. But there was just these people who seemed to somehow transcend all the hate and survive and have a resilience that you would see them at the bar and you would see them at the HRC dinner, right? And they would be serving as this sort of like little light in the darkness where you'd be like, well, they made it. I can make it too. Or I think of Miss Kasha Davis, the drag queen Miss Kasha Davis, who I love, who's also a Rochesterian. She's a safe adult. She is a good, safe drag mama to people, right? She's going to make sure that you're taken care of. She understands as a sober person herself the struggles that a lot of young people have with substance use disorder and can help them come through that in a safe way. And I seek to be a safe adult for people. I'm going to tell you this story about one of the safe adults that I met at the gay bar at Stonewall when I was young. Me and my friend Tommy had like skipped school with our fake IDs and took the train to New York. And we went to the Stonewall, and I think we ordered sodas even. I don't even think we got beers. And we were sitting there, and this man was like talking to Tom, and he was like, "So are you positive?" And our dumbasses were like, "Yeah, we're totally sure." Like, because we thought he was asking, "Are you positive we're gay?"
Oh, no.
And he's like, "No, baby, are you positive?" And he's like, "Yeah. No, I'm positive. I'm totally sure." And he lifted up his shirt and he had an HIV plus sign tattoo. And he goes, "Baby, are you positive?" And Tommy started crying. And he was like, "You got to be careful. You got to be careful. People aren't going to be, you can't be this doe-eyed in the city. Okay, where are you from?" And this man sat and talked to us and told us all about New York and all about his life. And we just had the best time. And I think of him all the time as like, that was also a really safe adult. We know as a queer community, a lot of us don't have the family support that other people do, maybe don't have the financial support that other people do, but feeling seen by somebody from the community, that matters. That keeps people alive, that keeps people engaged and going. And I think that that's the thing that we offer young people.
Totally agree. So this series is part of our American Dreams tour. Can you tell me what the American Dream means to you right now?
Gosh, it's changing so much. For me, I had immigrant grandparents who were deeply patriotic. And I think the reason that they were so patriotic is they truly believed in what the American dream was supposed to be. The original American promise: you come here, you're a good person, you work hard, and things work out. And I think that America's never really lived up to that promise for any of us, truly. And I would love to see America live up to that promise. Like, she's been given a good long runway to make this land. And I think part of what I try to do every day is believe that can be true so that it can be true someday. And the American dream might not be come here, work hard, keep your head down, and you can kind of retire at 80 semi-comfortably or afford your headstone. I think for us now, it's about rest and being left alone and being able to just exist and thrive and understand that there isn't one America. There's not one superior race or political ideal or state to live in or city to visit. It's that we are made up of, we contain multitudes, and that each of those multitudes is valuable. And I think if America could just kind of like release some of her tension and some of her hate and just be like, different strokes for different folks. And y'all, there's room enough for all of us to succeed. That would be my American dream.